Hello guys, welcome back to another Genshin video. Today I'm going to be reviewing and going over Kokomi's talents and everything you can do with her, and actually see if she's good or not. There's been a lot of talk about the town that she's going to be the worst 5-star in the game, so we're going to see and then you can make your own decision and if you want to wish on her or not. Let's get right onto it. So Kokomi is a Hydro Catalyst user who specializes in healing. Now let's go into her actual talents. Her normal attack is just a 3-hit combo, and then she can do an AoE Hydro Charge attack. It's a pretty basic moveset for a Catalyst user. Her elemental skill, Kurage's Oath, basically just summons a jellyfish that periodically speeds out AoE Hydro damage to surrounding opponents. And if your active character is in the radius of the jellyfish, they will get healed based on Kokomi's max HP. The main bad thing about this elemental skill is that it procs Hydro a little too slow because it only goes out every 2 seconds. But the cool thing about this skill is that you can actually have 100% uptime on this elemental skill with one of her passives, which I'll talk about later. Now with Kokomi's elemental burst, Nereid's Ascension, basically, she deals a whole bunch of hydro damage to surrounding opponents when she casts it, and then all of her normal, charged, and elemental skill damage are increased based off her max HP. And when her normal and charge attacks hit opponents, HP will be restored for the whole entire team. This effect also allows her to resist interruption and allowed her to walk on water, which is pretty cool, but sadly the effect does end when you switch off of Kokomi, so you can't keep this on other characters. And if you want to know, here's all the scalings for a level 8 talent. As you can see, all of her attacks do get a pretty good bump of the damage bonus based off her HP. Her burst does cost 70 energy though, which is a little on the higher side, but that should be alright. Now this is the passive talent that I was talking about to allow her to have 100% uptime on an elemental skill. Basically when you pop her burst and you have a jellyfish on the field, the jellyfish's duration will actually reset and stay on the field for even longer. So this is a pretty good passive, to be honest. Her next passive is while she's in a burst, her normal charge attacks will get even more damage increase based off 50% of a healing bonus. So it's also not a bad idea to build healing bonus onto your Kokomi. This talent decreases the stamina consumption of swimming by all party members. And here's the real kicker. Kokomi has a 25% healing bonus but 100% decrease in crit rate. So you actually cannot crit with Kokomi, which is really unique and really kind of weird. But let's just hope her wall damage is enough to not want to crit anyway. And yeah, those are basically all of her talents. Her talents are pretty alright. And I can see some synergies with some teams with it. But you'll really have to put it into practice to see how you like it. Now let's have a look at the Constellations. Honestly, some of the Constellations are kind of weird and kind of conflict at what she's supposed to be. Like, they're trying to merge a healer and damage dealer, but like it's kind of like locked behind Constellations. Like, I don't know, you just have to see for yourselves. Her first Constellation is basically when you do the final attack on a normal attack combo, it will unleash a swimming fish that deals 30% of her max HP as hydro damage, which is considered normal attack damage. So this one's basically to increase the damage of your Kokomi, which I don't know how many people will actually do, because she is supposed to be mainly a healer, but you could do a whole bunch of damage builds with her, I guess. Her second Constellation is when an active character that is around the jellyfish will gain the folly methods if they're 50% or low on the health. It'll give them 4.5% of Kokomi's max HP, and the normal charge attacks will get 2.6% of Kokomi's max HP. To be honest, I don't really understand this Constellation. I think the wording is kind of weird. So if you do understand it, leave it down in the comments, because I definitely don't. Her Constellation 3 is good because it increases the level of Elemental Burst. Your Constellation 4 is when you're in your Elemental Burst, Kokomi gets an increased attack speed by 10%, and her normal attacks that hit opponents will restore 0.8 energy for her, which can happen once every 0.2 seconds. So it gives her some more energy and more damage capabilities. Constellation 5 increases the level of elemental skill. And her last constellation is when she's in an elemental burst, she gives a 40% hydro damage bonus if you heal a character that has 80% HP or more. So basically, if all your characters are low and then you heal them all up with Kokomi's burst, as soon as they hit 80% or more, then she starts getting a 40% hydro damage bonus. Which, okay, I think this constellation's pretty neat. And there we go, those are constellations. As you can see, like I said before, they all kind of conflicting with her playstyle, like kind of making her turn into a main DPS or like a sub DPS if you get constellations, which I don't mind, it's fine. Just most of you guys won't get constellations, so most of you guys won't be wanting main DPS Kokomi maybe, unless you just want to go crazy and just have a lot of fun with Kokomi on main DPS, but you do you. Now let's get into her artifacts. I left the domain for a second just so I can show you the artifacts more in depth, so just pretend this barber is a Kokomi. They're practically the same person. I mean, so the most obvious set people might be thinking of is the Maiden's Beloved set, but honestly, I think Maiden's Beloved may be a little overkill because she does heal a lot, and honestly in this game you do not need that much healing. so maybe 2-piece Maiden's Beloved will be amazing. But there's also Tenacity of the Millilith, which increases her HP, which is already amazing. And the 4-piece is when her elemental skill hits, all party members will get an attack increase of 20%. The shield strength doesn't really matter that much, but attack percent is really good. You can practically keep this on 100% uptime with her elemental skill. Especially since you're able to pop her elemental burst and then reset the duration of her elemental skill too. So this is actually a really good set for her. This is really good for attack boosting. So if you have Kokomi, you might want to think about using this. And you could also use a combination of 2-piece Tenacity and 2-piece Maiden's Beloved. Because remember, with her passive, her normal and charge attacks do gain even more damage based on healing bonus. So healing bonus isn't bad to build on her. But also, if you want to be a little waggy with it, and we do a main DPS Kokomi, then 4-piece Hunter Death is probably the best option for you. It increases Hydra damage bonus, and gives her more charge and normal attack damage after using elemental skill. So it's just a really good set overall to increase the damage by a lot. And also in certain teams, you could use the 4-piece Blizzard Slayer just so you can actually crit with Kokomi. Because if you don't know, although his crit is negative 100%, if you end up getting enough crit rate, you can actually crit with Kokomi. But I don't know how worth it will be because you do have to put on a lot of investment and you have to win certain teams and it kind of limits your playstyles a little bit. But if you do want to use 4-piece Blizzard Trader, then you could.
Basically, I'm stupid and forgot to tell you guys what stats you can put. So on your main stats for your timepiece, you do want to win HP. For your goblet, you could also win HP. You could also win Hydra damage, but I recommend winning HP because that will also increase the damage of all your other attacks. And then on your circlet, you could win HP or healing bonus. I've heard and seen that they are pretty close together, so whichever one has better substats for you. Now for the substats, you do not want to get crit rate or crit damage since she cannot crit unless you really spec out for it. But for the average player, you won't be critting, so I do recommend you get flat HP, you can get energy recharge, and that's basically it. Just try to get a whole bunch of HP percent, energy recharge, and that's basically it. She's really easy to build. Sorry for the inconvenience, and back to the video.
And just so to recap, for support Kokomi, you can win 4-piece Millilith or 4-piece Maiden's Beloved, or you can win 2-piece Millilith and 2-piece Maidens. And for main DPS, you can win 4-piece Heart of Death or 4-piece Blizzard Trader. If you want certain ones to choose from, then I definitely recommend the 4-piece Millilith on the support side. And for the DPS side, I definitely recommend 4-piece Heart of Death. And that's all for the artifacts. Now time for Kokomi's weapons. As you can see from the weapon banner, her Everlasting Moonglow is her signature weapon. It does give HP percent, increase her healing bonus, and increases the normal attack damage based on 1% of her max HP, and it can give her some energy regeneration as well. Although this weapon is pretty good and the weapon looks really nice, like this actually looks beautiful, but you really don't have to pull for this weapon. Honestly, there's a lot of other weapons you could use. For example, the prototype Ember actually really ends up being a good weapon for Kokomi because it does give HP percent as a substat, and its passive is also pretty good as well, which is using an elemental burst which generates 4 energy every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. And all party members will regenerate 4% HP every 2 seconds through this duration. So this one's really good for the HP substat, and it actually gives energy back to Kokomi and passively heals your entire team. So it's a really good free-to-play weapon choice for Kokomi. Probably the most obvious one that's a good pick for Kokomi is Story Tales of Dragon Slayers, which is actually a 3-star weapon that a lot of people can get pretty easily. It gives HP percent as a substat, and when switching off of Kokomi to the new character that took the field gets an attack increase of 48%. So this is really good at buffing your Kokomi's damage because of the HP, and buffing your main DPS's damage by a lot, just with this attack increase. And those are honestly all the weapons you need to worry about, honestly the main good weapons for Kokomi. And just to keep in mind, you could use all these same weapons for a main DPS Kokomi as well, because HP just increases the overall damage and the burst and everything about it. So it's a really good idea to run some of these catalysts on your Kokomis. Now just real quick, I'm gonna go over some Kokomi teams that you might want to try. Once again, pretend this is Kokomi, I do not have her, so we gotta work with what we gotta work with. And honestly, I can immediately see her put into an Electro Charge team with Beto, Fischl, and Bennett. Because if you are running a main DPS Kokomi, this will be a great team for you. Because Beto's just actually insane, Electro Charge popping off, and then Bennett can throw down his Elemental Burst and give you a whole lot of attack. So this is a great team for her. You could also run a Permafreeze build for your main DPS Kokomi, because you have Rosaria and Diona here to put down a whole bunch of cryo, and then you have Vinci to swirl up the cryo, and then your Kokomi can just normal attack him down, do a whole lot of damage, And this is also great if you do have the 4-piece business trader set, because once again, it's very niche. You have to run like a permafreeze comp in order to crit with Kokomi. So, if you do have this team right here, this would be bad for your main DPS of Kokomi as well. Now, I do want to talk about Kokomi yourself and Zhangling. Kokomi and Zhangling are a pretty good combo, but the sad thing is about Kokomi's elemental skill is that it procs Hydro off too slow, and then Kokomi will do the Vaporize instead of Zhangling, so it'll decrease your damage by a crap ton. So just keep that in mind if you do decide to use Kokomi and Zhangling together. You can also run her as a really good damage buffing team for your main DPS. For example, you pop the Qingqiu, you pop the Zhangling, you pop the Kokomi, you do a little bit of heals, and then you have Thrilling Tail the Dragon Slayer on, so that you start Raiden Shogun, and then pop Raiden Shogun's burst, and they'll just do a whole bunch of bursting down, and then a whole bunch of elemental reactions. So yeah, that's basically it for the teams. I honestly don't really have that many ideas for teams. So if you do want to look up other videos on like the best team builds for Kokomi, then I do recommend you do so. Now in conclusion, Kokomi does seem like a pretty cool and fun character. Although she is sadly kinda lacking. She can do what other healers do, but also just kinda do more. For example, why would you use a Kokomi over your Bennett? I'm not sure. Or maybe they even Kokomi over Diona or Kokomi over your Jean. There's just not really much of a reason, which kinda sucks, but I guess that's how she is. But she is a phenomenal healer. She does heal a lot. But it's just kinda when other healers can do everything better and do more buffs to your team, what's the point of really running her? But to be honest, I think she is pretty fun. I don't know if I'm gonna get her just because I just don't want to use all my Primogen. But she is a pretty fun character if you do want to use her. And she does look nice too. Yeah, would I recommend her over Diona? No. Jean? No. Bennett? Definitely not. But if you do want to give her a chance and think she's pretty fun to play, then maybe you should consider rolling on it. I'm not gonna say she's like a must pull, you must get it right now, but she is pretty fun, she is pretty alright. Well, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. This is a little review of Kokomi. Hope you know what to put on her, how to build it, and I hope it helped you decide if you want to roll on her or not. Overall, she's a great healer, which heals a lot. Just the other perks and other things that she does is kind of lackluster compared to even 4-star healers. But she does look nice, and I think she's pretty fun. So please consider watching some other videos and waiting a few more days to see if you want to roll on it. But yeah, that's basically all. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye bye.